Nature of salesmanship. Salesmanship involves persuasion of customers. A salesmanship has the ability to convince the people to buy his product. It essentially involves the ability to influence or persuade people to buy a product or service. In fact, persuasion is the soul of modern salesmanship. Gone are the days when a sale was forced on the customers. Modern salesmanship does not rely on pressure tactics or compulsion to clinch a sale. The customer is led to a favorable buying decision through carefully and imaginative handling. The salesmanship necessarily creates a favorable impression on the prospective buyer's mind, presenting the benefits associated with the products or service being offered for sale. Salesmanship involves winning buyers' confidence. Modern salesmanship aims at educating the customer and providing a solution to his problems. This helps in winning his confidence. It aims at winning the confidence of the buyers by persuading and educating them about the ability of products and services, their special features, and their utility in satisfying their respective needs. Salesmanship involves providing information. Salesmanship is an educative process. It tells customers the ways in which they can satisfy their needs. Salesman provides information about product available, their broad features and their uses and utility to the customers. Salesmanship aims at mutual benefit. Salesmanship is a two-way process. It results in benefits not only to the sellers but also to the buyers. It helps in solving the problems of the buyers and satisfying their needs. Customer satisfaction leads to increase in profitable sales volume for the salesman. Salesmanship creates satisfied customers. Salesmanship in modern days aims to creating satisfied customers rather than just profit-generating sales. In any marketing transaction, a sale once made would indicate the end of the process. However, once there is a satisfied customer, it is the beginning of long-lasting relationship which can create more sales in future. Therefore, modern salesmanship always aims at creating satisfied customers who will most likely purchase his goods and services as and when necessary. Importance of salesmanship. Salesmanship is an indispensable technique of promotion. The importance of personal selling may be described under the following heads. Letter A. Benefits to consumers. A salesman acts as a friend and guide to consumers. He informs them of new products and new uses of existing products. He helps them in choosing products which match their needs and incomes. A salesman guides the customers in buying products that will provide maximum satisfaction. Letter B. Benefits the businessman. They help in the creation of demand for new products and in the extension of markets for existing ones. Through personal selling, a businessman can not only inform customers of his products but can know their tastes, attitudes, and behavior. Such information is helpful in the design and in the development of products that match market demand. By creating large-scale and regular demand, salesmanship makes planned and regular mass production possible. Salesmen help to build up a favorable corporate image necessary to secure repeat sales. Letter C, the benefits to society. Salesmanship helps to expand employment and income of a country through large and rapid sales turnover. Salesmen provide marketing information to producers so that consumers can get new and better products. Salesmen perform several non-selling tasks after sale service, meeting complaints, conducting marketing research, providing credit information, delivering goods, collecting payments, etc. Salesmen help minimize price fluctuations and trade cycles by matching demand and supply. Some of the importance can be summarized as follows. Salesmanship helps to create demand for new products or new brands. It influences the change in patronage from one source of supply to another, which results concentration of purchases of specific product. Number 2, as it wins the buyer's confidence, so it helps to make regular and permanent customers. The person who is engaged in convincing the public about the desirability of a specific product is called a salesman. He informs the customers about the usefulness of commodity with a view to inducing him to buy the goods. Number 4, he establishes the goodwill of firm in the market, so the sales volume may easily be increased. Number 5, he constantly observes the passion, taste, like and dislike of customers and informs the producer about their choice. Number 6, he helps to establish close relationship between the manufacturer and consumer. Scope of salesmanship. Salesmanship has become an indispensable part of business activity. Today, everybody is a seller, selling something or the other. It has been rightly pointed out that sales are the lifeblood of business. The job of today's salesman is not confined to selling consumer goods. He also has to sell industrial and agricultural goods and services like transport, repairing, teaching, painting, banking, legal consultancy, medicine, insurance, and so on. Thus, the scope of salesmanship is vast and varied. With the advancement of science and technology, the scope of salesmanship has become unlimited. It is a skill which is essential in every sphere of human activity. Every one of us, in one sense or the other, is a salesman. The job of a lawyer pleading his case, a teacher teaching his ideas, an applicant applying for a job, resembles the job of a salesman. In each of these cases, the ability of a salesman is very much necessary in order to be successful. Thus, we observe that the skill of salesmanship is not restricted to selling goods and services, but it's applicable in several other fields. A modern salesman occupies a pivotal position in the structure of an organization. Modern sales managers take decisions about recruitment, selection, training, and controlling of sales force. Similarly, the activities of production and sales are also considerably regulated by the sales manager of an organization. Salesmanship today covers a wide range of activities and constitutes an integral part of management. It also offers wide scope for development in future. In fact, modern salesmanship is going on scientific lines. day by day. Time is not far when salesmanship will be in position to dictate to the producers of goods and services what, when, and how much to produce for sale in the market. The scope of the salesman's activities will, of course, depend to a considerable extent upon the line he is selling and the channels of distribution used. However, it is possible to present an outline, part or all of which will apply to the average salesman. First and foremost, his main activity is to sell an adequate volume at satisfactory profit. As a matter of fact, all of the rest of the rather wide range of his activities should and does contribute in one way or another, directly or indirectly, to this main objective. This will be found to require a working knowledge of this industry, a fairly definite knowledge of his company, its history and its organization, and even more detailed acquaintance with his sales department and its every activity, and the most thorough knowledge of the product or offering to be sold and how best to sell it. He must study his territory, analyze it, and know it thoroughly, organize it, build a list of prospects in it on which he can keep profitably busy, and create in it a personal goodwill for himself and business goodwill toward his company. He is the duty his duty of cooperating with a credit manager through his intimate knowledge of local conditions and detailed knowledge of the individual customer. Many times, of course, he must lend personal assistance in the collection of accounts. He will also, whenever possible, cooperate with the production end of the business by reporting the reaction upon the trade and upon the consuming public of the company's product and product policy, and let the home office know of competing articles and reception accorded them. He will cooperate with the advertising manager by coordinating his activities with the general marketing and advertising plan, sell his company's advertising policies to the customer, assist him in availing himself of advertising helps, and encourage him in every way to tie in with the company's advertising. It is not at all unusual today for a salesman actually to sell the customer the entire marketing and advertising plan rather than the goods alone. Likewise, he is responsible for carrying out, so far as his territory is concerned, the instructions, policies, and ideas of his sales manager. One of his most important duties frequently will be to assist his customer by constructive suggestion and assistance in stock display, improve merchandising methods, advertising, and window trim, as well as by instruction and suggestion to clerks to move the goods he has sold. For it is generally understood today that goods are not truly sold when they are placed upon the shelves of the dealer. They are not really sold until they have moved off the shelves of dealer into the hands of the final consumer. For then, and only then, can a new order find its way back through the channels of trade. In addition, the salesman must present a detailed report of his daily activities and any changes in trade conditions, and should take a personal pride in submitting any personal sales methods which have been effective with him and which he believes will be helpful to other men in the sales organization. He has a moral obligation constantly to improve his salesmanship by reading and study, consulting the latest books, and keeping in close touch with his trade journals. In the foregoing outline, we have assumed a salesman selling to the trade. Some of these activities will not apply to the specialty salesman who sells to users and consumers, but some of these duties devolve upon all salesmen, and the principle involved through preparedness from every angle applies to all. It will be seen that the scope of personal salesmanship is a broad one. Selling ability is not inherent. Businessmen have been arguing that salesmanship cannot be tough. It must be born in a man, as he took. He had been watching one of his men in the front part of the store demonstrate a mechanical device. When the customer had gone, he stepped quickly forward. Bell said, "I noticed that you did all the demonstrating and all the talking. Why didn't you let your prospect handle the machine, operate it? By doing that, you would have held his interest and created in him a desire to own the machine. Instead of that, he walked out on you." He had laid down a definite principle of salesmanship. He had endeavored to do that which he had just finished stating could not be done. Teach salesmanship. This illustrates how little thought a man is giving to the subject when he says the salesmen are born and not made. It is undoubtedly true that some men are born salesmanship in the sense that they have selling instinct more highly developed than most men. It is also true that many such men succeed in selling work without any special training other than that afforded by their personal experience. It is also true, however, that probably majority of men have latent in them real selling ability which requires nothing but sound instruction and training to bring it out and get it into action. There are born salesmen in the same sense that there are born musicians or born artists. It cannot be gainsaid, however, that musical or artistic ability must be developed by training. Almost any man of ordinary intelligence, provided there is not present in him some obvious drawback of temperament, or physical ability, can be developed into a sales product satisfactory both to himself and to his house. Can salesmanship be tough? Not so long ago, it was not at all unusual for a sales executive to decry necessity for any extended formal training for recruits to the selling organization. A man of more or less apparent selling ability was hired, given a day or so around the plant or office, handed a sample case and started for his territory with a few parting instructions to sink or swim. Only 1 out of 10 breasted the tide. This method has long been recognized as inefficient and wasteful of the company's money or of territory and of good sales material. The leading organizations of the country have long since demonstrated conclusively that adequate sales training, both before the salesman actually enters upon his selling work and after he is in the territory, greatly reduces the percentage of salesmanship mortality, makes satisfactory producers out of mediocre men who would otherwise inevitably fail, and gets good men into profitable production sooner than would otherwise be possible. Furthermore, competition becomes constantly keener and the salesman must be more thoroughly prepared for the job than before. It is no longer enough that he be a genuine mixer and a persuasive talker. He must have business instruction and business training. Business executives are giving more serious attention than ever today to the development of good salesmanship through adequate instruction and training. It goes without saying that marketing, sales, and advertising executives should possess a detailed and thoroughgoing knowledge of every phase of personal salesmanship and every detail of the salesman's work. It is equally true that every other executive in business, no matter in what department his work may lie, should have a knowledge of this, one of his company's most important activities. In determining the general business policies of the company, credit terms, discounts, brands, sizes, containers, advertising and distribution policies. A sympathetic knowledge of the salesman, his needs and his problem is necessary. After all, the main purpose of the organization is to sell the product. The executive working in fields more or less removed from the keen competitive battle on the firing line of business is all too likely to lose sight of or never to know the details of the salesman's duties, activities, and responsibilities. His intelligent and sympathetic cooperation is of vital importance. Furthermore, selling in its broader sense consists in bringing another to your point of view and including him to take a desired action. This is a matter of personal influence and persuasion. In other words, of personal salesmanship. The highest type of executive is one who leads rather than drives his subordinates. He secures voluntary action rather than compulsory action. He sells ideas. The principles and methods of personal salesmanship are inherent in his work. The financial executive, production manager, advertising manager, all must sell their plans to the general manager, president or board of directors, and sell to the necessity and preparations for carrying them out. The corporation treasurer, when he goes to borrow funds for the business, sells the banker on his position. The general manager must sell his plans to his department heads if he is to secure wholehearted cooperation. The great lawyer pleading for a life before a jury is in essence simply trying to sell that jury a point of view. Every man then has a vital interest in that knowledge of the human mind and that practice of persuasion in which lie the essence of salesmanship. The art of salesmanship. As art is a science applied, it involves actual doing. It is the practical application of knowledge or natural ability. One might have a broad knowledge of the science of medicine and possess or develop but indifferent ability in applying it. It may be said, speaking generally, that knowledge of a science is gained by study, proficiency in an art by practice. Knowledge of selling principles alone is not sufficient. Actual practice in their application is necessary, but knowledge of principles will enable one to get his selling ability into action more quickly and make of him a better salesman than he otherwise could hope to be. The art of salesmanship may be defined as the ability to apply fundamental selling principles to the circumstances of the individual selling situation. The science of salesmanship. Selling is definitely an art, but art is an applied science. It is the practical application of knowledge or natural ability. It is possible to make a study of the sales process and experience and methods of successful salesmen. Because of the many immeasurable human elements involved, it will always remain to some degree an exact science. Mathematics, physics, chemistry are regarded as science. Salesmanship may also be considered a science on the basis that salesmanship is a specialist knowledge that has its own standards, principles, and theories. It has already developed a systematized knowledge of its own like the other subjects of science. However, these rules and principles cannot be applied to each and everyone in the world since all human beings are not equal. No doubt, although a majority of the customers can be convinced by a particular line of approach and behavior of the salesman, the same cannot be applied to all customers, and it may not be successful in each and every case. This is so because the process of handling customers can never be reduced to unchangeable laws and rigid principles. Thus, salesmanship is not exact science like physics or mathematics. It is science based on human psychology. It can be considered as science like sociology or economics. Therefore, the term salesmanship includes both knowledge of fundamental selling principles and the ability to apply them in the actual making of sales. It comprehends both the science and the art.